The 805 Focus is brought to you in part by Nonprofit Kinect. Nonprofit Kinect provides superior leadership tools and resources so nonprofit leaders and board members can make valuable decisions to move their organization forward to a sustainable and vibrant future. More information on services online at nonprofitconnect.org.
Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cynder Sinclair with Nonprofit Kinect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits, so get ready to be inspired. Our special guest today is Steve Daniels, and Steve is the president of the Santa Barbara Blues Society. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Cynder. Nice to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're here. I have a lot of questions for you.
I'm ready.
I see, I get messages from the Blues Society all the time, so I know you folks are busy.
We try to be busy.
So if you would, tell us a little bit about what the Blues Society is, maybe even how it started, how long it's been around, and what your focus is.
The Santa Barbara Blues Society is the oldest existing U.S. blues society. We were founded in March 1977. We just celebrated our 45th birthday.
Wow.
And we have three basic functions. First of all, we try to bring the best musical blues talent in the country to perform in Santa Barbara at our shows. Second, we try to support local blues performers, and there are a lot of very good ones in the Santa Barbara area and region. And third, we have a Blues for Youth program which brings blues performers to teach about blues in the public schools.
Wow, that's really great. I bet that's a popular program in the schools.
Well, we've been doing that for well over 10 years, and our most recent visitor was Guy Davis, who is one of the best acoustic blues performers in the U.S. He's the son of the late actors Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, and is also an actor himself. And he spent 2 days in Santa Barbara presenting classes about the blues at several public schools.
So did he actually go in and play, or?
He went in and played music in the classes and encouraged some of the students to play a little bit of music in the classes, and talked about what blues is and why it's important in U.S. culture.
The oldest in the country.
I have a trivia question I always ask people: what's the oldest blues society in the world? And it's not the Santa Barbara Blues Society. It is the Finnish Blues Society in Helsinki, Finland. They started in 1970, and blues is actually very popular in Europe.
That surprises me.
Yeah, well, it's true. A lot of blues musicians actually, especially African American ones, found it more comfortable to live in Europe than in the United States because of racism, and many famous ones did live there for a long time.
I bet a lot of blues performers love to come to the city that's the oldest blues society.
Well, I think they do, and we also have a reputation as treating our guest performers very well. We try to do that, and I think we succeed.
And so do you have a certain locale, venue that you always have the?
Well, we've used multiple venues over our 45 years. Most recently, for the last 10 years, most of our shows are at the Carrillo Recreation Center in downtown Santa Barbara. And we have some acoustic shows at the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara, occasional shows at Soho Restaurant and Music Club. And we also have cooperative agreements with multiple organizations in town, like UCSB Arts and Lectures, Lobero Theater, and several others.
Gosh, so you folks are really in there, collaborating with all of them.
We try, and it works very well.
Yeah. So it's a membership organization.
We have annual memberships available for $25 and lifetime memberships for $100. Currently, we have over 800 members, almost all of whom are life members. And each member and 3 guests of each member at any show gets a discount on admission tickets, as well as discounts at several of the other performing venues in town, like the Lobero Theater and UCSB Arts and Lectures when they have blues shows.
So how often do you have a blues show?
Well, things have changed during the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah.
Generally, over the last 40 plus years, we have shows every other month, usually 5 or 6 shows a year.
Gosh. So, all right. So, and then you have these venues. I'm trying to, imagine these different venues and all those shows, and then you bring people, you bring performers from outside of the area often, although local people also, right?
Mainly our own shows are from performers that are out of Santa Barbara. There are many good blues performers who live in Santa Barbara that play regularly at local venues, and we co-promote their shows. But for our own shows, we bring in usually either very big names in the blues world or up-and-coming performers. Some of the people we've had in the last few years, and names that people might recognize, Guitar Shorty, who sadly died about a month ago at the age of 87. Teresa James and the Rhythm Tramps, an excellent band. Tommy Castro and the Painkillers, that was just voted 2 days ago as the best blues band in the country. And they were here a couple of years ago playing for us. And in the past, some names that people will recognize are Buddy Guy, John Lee Hooker, Coco Taylor, Albert King. All of them have come here and played for us.
Wow. When I was 16, I heard Dizzy Gillespie. That was quite, I was living in Manhattan Beach at the time, and there was this little place, and there I was listening to him.
It must have been thrilling.
Yeah, it was pretty thrilling.
Yeah. Well, Dizzy Gillespie is generally considered to be a jazz performer, not blues.
That shows you what I know. Okay, so let me ask you this. Tell me, jazz versus blues, how do we...
Well, this is a topic of controversy, actually.
Oh.
Most people agree that blues is an indigenous American art form. There's an argument these days about whether it really originated in West Africa, which most people believe, although there's some revisionists that claim that it originated in Spain, Portugal, and the Caribbean. Nonetheless, it migrated to the south of the United States, mainly to New Orleans and the Mississippi region. But there are other people that argue that jazz and blues are not really different, that they're the same. Everybody agrees that blues is the basis of rhythm and blues, rock and roll, rap, hip hop, and many people argue the basis of jazz as well. Other people say blues and jazz are distinct art forms that are first cousins.
Yeah, I like that one. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, one difference people can discern if they listen to music is that jazz is more free form generally, although blues has improvisation consistently as well. But the typical blues song form is a 12-bar musical form that's pretty easily recognizable. And within that form, there's room for lots of improvisation.
Wow. So, Steve, how did you get interested in the blues, involved with the society, all of that?
Well, one thing I should say first is for people that are not familiar with blues, a lot of them don't want to get involved in it because they think blues, that's going to be a depressing music. It'll make us blue. Actually, the opposite is true. Blues is a music that was developed and matured in the southern United States among African Americans who used it to get through hard times. And so it's usually a danceable, uplifting music, not a depressing music at all. The way I got into blues many years ago is that I grew up in a family where classical music was mainly heard, but occasionally folk music. So through the folk music, I started listening to Lightnin' Hopkins, Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, and I really liked that. But the critical moment for me was when I was in college at a party at my own house with some roommates, and somebody showed up and brought a particular record, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band first album. And those people who know blues will know that album and that name. And I remember stopping dead in my tracks in the middle of the party when that record went on and saying, what is that? That is fantastic. And I immediately went out and bought the record, and I've been a diehard blues fan ever since.
Now, how old were you at that point?
Well, I have to give some information here. It was 1965. I was a freshman in college.
Oh, gosh.
Mhm.
Isn't that something? And just like that, you just knew.
Well, I knew folk blues before that, but since then I've just loved every form of blues. And there are many forms. There's folk blues, Piedmont finger-picking style blues, Chicago electric blues, West Coast electric blues, which is different, jazz blues, rhythm and blues. There are all kinds of subgenres which are all a little different, but all based on the same basic form.
So what did your parents think about you listening to this non-classical music?
Well, they adapted. They didn't like it, but I had my time on the stereo, and they had their time.
Oh, gosh.
We had an accommodation.
Well, good. They didn't. All right. So, all right. Let's talk about the society again. Now, do you folks use volunteers?
We do have volunteers at every show. We actually have a roster of about 80 people that are available to volunteer. And at our own shows, we usually need at least 25 or 30 people at each show. Because we have various functions at the show. We have people that greet guests, we have people that check people in, we have people to offer our merchandise, we always have free snacks, we sell beverages.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a lot of volunteers, and fortunately we have a lot of dedicated ones, but we always could use more.
Good. And so a person can go on your website.
That's right. You can go on our website and send us an email saying you're interested, and we would be glad to try to work you in.
All right. And do you welcome donations?
We do. We're a nonprofit organization, and donations are tax deductible.
Great. Now, can a person make that donation on the website, or?
Can be done on the website, yes. And actually the way we exist is partly through tickets that we sell at the shows, partly through selling merchandise, but a considerable degree is from donations.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I bet you there's a lot of folks that are going to want to donate. So, all right, now I'm thinking about collaborations. I bet you collaborate quite a bit with the schools, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. We have this Blues for Youth program,
Mm-hmm.
and we've brought several well-known performers, in addition to Guy Davis, whom I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We had a fine harmonica player named Gary Allegretto from Los Angeles, and he not only presented it to the students, he brought a free harmonica for every student and let them try learning how to play in the class.
What fun.
Yeah, we had a performer from the Midwest named Fruitland Jackson. I don't think Fruitland was his given name.
I doubt it.
He spells it F-R-U-T-E-L-A-N-D. But he did something which was very informative. At one of his classes, he explained to the students why blues was the root of rock and roll. And what he did is he started playing an acoustic blues song, and it was clearly blues, and he just increased the tempo gradually, a little by little, and within 60 seconds, he was playing the same song, but it was rock and roll.
Oh, man. That would be fascinating to hear.
It was fascinating. Willie Dixon, who is a very famous blues songwriter and a great bass player, had a statement attributed to him, which is that the blues is the roots and rock and roll is the fruit.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So back to the pandemic, what challenges did that present to the society?
Well, like for all live performances and organizations at the time, we had an excellent birthday show planned for March 2020, which we had to cancel on short notice. And for the next 2 years, our main function was co-promoting online blues shows.
Oh.
And there were a lot of very good ones, some with Alistair Green, who is from Santa Barbara and is now one of the big names in the blues world. We co-sponsored a show by Rick Estern and the Nightcats that were voted the best blues band in the country last year, and several other groups. And then we finally had our first show, our first own live show in March of this year, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And we brought up a very good acoustic blues duo from Long Beach named Celso Salim and Daryl Carrier, and they put on a great show.
Yeah. So are you finding that since you had to switch to virtual presentations, that sort of allowed you to broaden the geographic reach? Or I mean, was there anything beneficial, I guess, that came out of the challenges?
Well, we do know that people all over the country, in fact all over the world, watched a lot of those online shows. And that was gratifying. And we did get some new members through that. But the bottom line is that watching blues on the internet or on your smartphone or whatever, listening to blues on your stereo or whatever device you prefer is great. I do it all the time, but there is nothing like live music.
Yeah.
It can't be beat.
Gosh.
So we are certainly working on and hoping to have some very good live shows in the next few months.
That's good.
It's very good. One cooperation I didn't mention is that for the last 6 or 7 years, the city of Santa Barbara has had concerts in the park on Thursday evenings during July down near the beach. And for the last 6 or 7 years, one of the 4 shows they put on has been a blues band that we have arranged.
Oh, gosh.
So we are hoping to do that again this summer. And then in September, probably, we are just in the process of arranging a show with one of Santa Barbara's most popular bands ever, that is Cafe R&B, which is a blues and rock band that lives, the principals live in Santa Barbara. They're very popular here. They've played for us before. And we hope to be able to announce the date and location of that show very soon.
Oh, so you can't let the cat out of the box yet.
Not till the contract is signed.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course. So that will eventually be up on your website and your
It will.
Facebook page and all that stuff.
That's right.
Gosh, you have a lot of exciting things going on.
We do.
The oldest blues society in the country. Wow.
Well, people, you know, there have been discussions over the last 20 or 30 years. Every few years, is the blues dying? Because sadly, many of the original blues performers have died, a lot of them in the last few years, a lot of them older African American performers. Although a lot of them live to be old, I think blues helps them to stay alive.
Yeah.
But there's a counter argument that the blues has revitalized itself many times and will do so again. And there are a lot of very fine young blues performers on the coming up now.
Yeah, and you folks are encouraging that.
We do. We try to divide our shows between established, well-known, famous performers and up-and-coming performers that aren't famous yet but will be.
That is so great. Tell me again how many members you have?
We have over 800 members, most of them life members, and we have a mailing list of over 2,300 people.
Wow. So of those, you know, how many would you say are active in Santa Barbara, you know, people in Santa Barbara that are actively involved with the blues?
Well, we have a board of directors of 11 people.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, the volunteer roster of 80 people. And of our 2,300 people on the mailing list, probably close to 2,000 of them live in the Santa Barbara area.
Oh, gosh.
And so anywhere from 150 to 400 people show up at our shows generally.
There's a lot of blues happening in Santa Barbara.
There is a lot of blues, and I should mention that on our website we do list some of the very fine local blues bands. There are a lot of them.
Oh, that's good. So if somebody wants to really look and... All right, that's... All right, so you see we have a minute or so left. Anything else you want the audience to know about the Santa Barbara Blues Society?
Well, I'd like people to know that we are really grateful to the community for supporting us for 45 years. It hasn't been easy, but there are a lot of people who really appreciate blues music and love to go to a show and enjoy fine musicianship and get up and dance and have a great time. And we hope to continue for another 45 years.
That is great.
At least.
I'm going to be tuning into your website to go to one of those shows. I've been to several in the past, pre-COVID, but I'm going to be checking it out even more now.
Good. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Steve, for all this great work and for telling us all about it, for being on the show. Appreciate
My pleasure.
that a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us on 805 Focus, and we'll see you next time.